Welcome back, everybody, to America's Sunrise. You know, here on the show, we talk a lot about protecting the values that make this country great. For example, faith, family, and freedom. And no organization is doing more to stand up for those values than AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. We talk about them a lot because we love them. AMAC is the conservative alternative to AARP, and they offer incredible benefits to their members. Discounts on things you use every day, helpful online tools and resources, and also a subscription to the AMAC magazine, packed with information and inspiration for patriots like you. Don't worry, no Hunter Biden pictures in the magazine. By the way, you can join for as little as $1.20 a month with a 5-year membership. So if you want to stay informed, save money, and stand up for America, this is what you do. You go to amac.us/sunrise, and you join AMAC today. It'd be the best move you ever make. Well, I don't know about ever. I mean, it'd be good to maybe start a family and have kids. Okay, sorry, I digress. So for more, let's bring in the editor-in-chief of AMAC Newsline. That would be Shane Harris. Shane, good to see you this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the nation's capital, as in the swamp. D.C., unique among American cities. It's almost entirely supported by federal tax dollars. And obviously, every taxpayer has a stake claim in the city. Yet the state of crime and homelessness in D.C. has been a national and international embarrassment for a very long time. The United States is really the richest and most powerful country in the world, but then parts of our capital look like a third world slum. So let me get your take on what happened yesterday, because President Trump said on Wednesday that he's considering federalizing the D.C. Police Department and bringing in the National Guard. And I just want to be clear to everybody in our audience, President Trump can order in the National Guard chain. He doesn't need the D.C. mayor to do that. He can also take over the D.C. police, but only for 30 days under what he would deem special emergency conditions. But then after that, he's going to need congressional approval. Anyhow, what's your take on all of this?
Yeah, so I've actually got a new piece up on AMAC Newsline right now talking about this. And I actually think, when President Trump came out after the attack on the former Doge staffer over the weekend and said that he was thinking about federalizing the D.C. police, bringing in the National Guard to restore order to the city, there were a lot of people who said he was being extreme, he was being overbearing. But I actually think President Trump has showed extraordinary restraint when it comes to D.C. As you said, every American has a stake in the city. This is our capital city. It represents our country to both every American and to the rest of the world. And it's a shame that it's been overrun with crime, drugs, and homelessness. I lived in D.C. for 3 years when I worked in the first Trump administration. I was there in 2020 at the White House when the BLM rioters surrounded the building. And I was actually told by Secret Service that it was not safe for me to leave, not safe for me to go home. So I think there was an argument to federalize the D.C. Police Department then, because the city leadership refused to do anything about it. And I just think it's a total disgrace that you have a city and a city government that is fine with allowing, criminals, vagrants, homeless to essentially hold the city hostage. And so I'm glad to see that President Trump is talking about doing something about it.
Well, we should be clear. You say federalizing the D.C. police force. He can, but only for a month. Then Congress would have to explore overturning the Home Rule Act. Of course, that is the decades-old law that gives D.C. residents some semblance of political autonomy. It allows them to elect a mayor and council members, and it also has this rule in there that the president can't federalize the D.C. police force for more than 30 days. So are you suggesting that the Home Rule Act needs to be abolished or amended, or what are you saying here?
Yeah, so I think obviously abolishing the D.C. Home Rule Act would be the best of all scenarios. I mean, after passage of that bill in 1973, things in the city have only gotten worse. Homicides have spiraled out of control, crime, homelessness. You essentially have a city run by Democrat partisans that anytime there's a Republican in office, they essentially hold that administration hostage. I don't think that's going to happen because you need 60 votes in the Senate to overcome the filibuster. But what Republicans can do is they can attach budget riders and other funding provisions to block DC's funding unless they enact certain provisions, change their laws, punish criminals, do more to keep the people and the visitors to DC safe. And I think that's probably the most likely and the best avenue is for Republicans to get together and say, okay, when we do funding legislation that doesn't require 60 votes to overcome the filibuster, what can we do to force the DC city government to do more to protect the people that live and visit there?
Yeah, for sure. By the way, Shane, obviously you're the editor-in-chief of AMAC Newsline. How does this all tie into AMAC? We're talking about DC. And, help us through this as to why this is an important issue for AMAC members, kind of writ large, if you will.
Right. Yeah. Well, as you mentioned earlier in this interview, it's an issue for AMAC members. It's an issue for every American because, all of our AMAC members, they're paying taxes. Their taxes are going to our museums and monuments and everything that people want to go see. 25 million visitors a year come to Washington, D.C., and they deserve to come to a city that's clean, that's safe, and that they feel comfortable taking their families to.
Yeah. Shane, appreciate your time. We see on the screen there where you can get more information, but just give it to us verbally from an audio perspective. Where can people go get more information on AMAC? I am older, so I got to have to hear it a few times, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amac.us. It's amac.us. You want to check us out on Newsline. It's amac.us/Newsline.
Very nice. At least you didn't have to say HTTPS : enough of that, right? Okay, Shane, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.